Here I make things. I still make things, although I'm now coming to the conclusion that I might not make anything else because this room is full and the next room next door is full and my house is full. So my carvings spend most of their existence in the dark, together. What happens when you go home, I don't know. I imagine there's some kind of conversation goes on between them. A writer once told me that his creative input is like being a cow that needed milking, that there was something that grew inside him until it really was too uncomfortable and he had to get it out. And he described this process as being really quite unpleasant, but he had to do it. I think most of the things come from the world and from my experience of the world. And from time to time, there is a direct response to things that are happening, to music or to drama or to other works of art, other art exhibitions, other artists, or events, political events. The sculpture in the sculpture garden, the black one in the corner, 5 stories of houses. I think that's a response to Palestine being bombed. It's a response to the Middle East being bombed. I never know. I quite like to be like Matisse, where you could go off somewhere in the south of France during the Second World War and paint beautiful paintings because that's your job. That's what you do. Or that you're supposed to make things which are political statements. I think I'm anxious now and then to say that I'm not in isolation. I'm not somebody who's isolated from the world, living here, working here. And sometimes it comes through in the work. I never quite know what I'm doing, and I remove the bits I don't like. I'm not sure what the form is. The form grows. Carving takes quite a long time. And then there is always this thing where I revisit the carvings. It's always interesting when you read about painters who went to the museum and repainted their works on the museum walls. I mean, I think that's exactly right. Some of the works stand up and then some of them lie down. And then the ones that lie down sometimes stand up and the ones that stand up lie down. I've become quite interested in the ensemble, that the works are together. They live together and they're next to each other. I show them as an ensemble. It's funny, as you move away, if you see that, you're drawn towards African sculpture, but at the same time you're also drawn in the other direction to something like minimalism. So then I discovered this group of people in Ghana and I went to visit them. Inside the houses were shrines, and built in the clay shrines were Lobi figures, carvings. There was no equivalent for sculpture. There was no equivalent for sculptor. The people who made these things were farmers. And in the night, they would have a nightmare and they would be told to get up and make a carving. And they'd say, no, I've got to see to my crops. Yes, you will, because if you don't do it, your crops won't be worth harvesting. And this shrine would grow and they would add figure after figure after figure. And the figures would mimic the people in the village. If there was a person with one arm, you'd get a carving with one arm. If you'd get a small person, you'd get a small carving. And as the number of carvings grew, the power of this shrine would grow. They were of floating poetry in a way, because they just stood there and they didn't do anything. They didn't shout, they didn't scream, and they didn't say how clever they were. They just stood there.